You're watching the Capital PTBO Sports Show on your TV, Peterborough and Lindsay.
Hey there, and welcome into the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production. Come visit us at the Capital PTBO at 370 George Street North or online at thecapitalptbo.ca. Coming up on the show today, can the Leafs seal the deal? Should adults wear hockey sweaters? And a place in New Jersey has solved the issue of officiating in minor sports when it comes to really angry parents. We'll tell you all about that. Mark Million, Producer Matty up in the penalty box. Gentlemen, what is going on this lovely day here in Peterborough?
It's starting to feel like summer. Like, not today. It's a little drowsy outside.
A lot of rain on the way.
A lot of rain. But, I mean, I don't know, the last few weeks I feel like I've had the sunroof open a lot more. And that, to me, that makes a big difference.
I always was of the belief that 8 degrees in April is always way warmer than 8 degrees in November.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know what's coming in both scenarios. You know what weather is coming down the pipeline here. But we're into the double digits now consistently during the day. It makes it easier when there's sun and less gray. But it's coming.
It is coming.
Yeah.
We've got just a jam-packed show, so we got to get to it. But, Mark, one of the things that I want to tease right off the top is that we're doing something a little bit different in the back half of the program, and that is something that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, and that is we are going to start airing the playoffs of the Peterborough Table Hockey Association.
Yes. So this is something that you would have saw on social media here in the last little bit. If you follow us, we also teased in the last couple of weeks. So we're going to introduce to you Peterborough Table Hockey Association playoff edition.
Yes.
Steve versus Heather, right?
It's a B final.
B final. So we're going to give you the B final. We're going to give you the A final. And you're going to get one episode or one game every week consecutively for the next number of weeks. We won't tell you how many because we don't want to spoil the surprise.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Just like The Sopranos, you got to wait week to week to find out what's happening.
Just
in this
like
thing.
must-see TV was, NBC Thursdays.
Yes. So I'm super excited about that. We're going to do that just after the Mono Challenge, which I'm also excited to say Matt Latour taking the reins on being the quiz master. And I'm actually going to get in the ring with you and swing a little bit.
I'm being mean this week, too.
Wait, no, come on.
No.
Okay.
It's about a sport you both know and love.
No, yeah, I'm sure. It's going to be...
Ice hockey. Ever heard of it?
I have a theory.
Yeah, Norway.
I have a theory that
Nothing to do with Norway.
Okay.
Matt's going to be so excited to be the quiz master that it's going to be what bowler wore yellow socks in the 04 PBA final. And it'll be like, okay.
I was this
know.
close to doing FIDE chess world champions.
Yeah.
That close.
Pete Weber.
And you guys know 4 of them.
We do.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So we're not that bad. A lot of fun coming up today. Before that, though, a reminder that this show is not possible without the help of our good friend Brian Goldfinger of Goldfinger Personal Injury Law. Brian dedicates his practice exclusively on behalf of accident victims, disability claimants, and their families. He is a plaintiff personal injury lawyer through and through and does not accept work on behalf of insurance companies. He has been championing the rights of the little guy since he was called to the bar of the Law Society of Upper Canada in 2004. He's won millions and millions of dollars on behalf of both clients inside and outside of the courtroom. So do me a favor. If you get hurt, call Goldfinger Personal Injury Law at 877-730-1777 or visit goldfingerlaw.com. Also, a shout out to our loyal subscribers on Patreon. You can check us out, patreon.com/capitalptbo. It's my understanding, Mark, that we have a new Patreon subscriber.
Let's go. Now we're in double digits, 10.
Yep.
Thank you for not putting the applause sounder
Do you
in.
want the applause sounder?
No,
ready?
it's too
We
late
had
now.
Mercier doing it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways. Thank you.
And you're going to get it right after the wheel as
Thank
well.
Brandon Terrio, thank you. Brandon, longtime friend. We used to work together in a former life at SVP Sports. So Brandon is number 10. We've added him to the big wheel. Matthew, yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
we have.
It is time now to spin the wheel of Win Nothing in partnership with Flash Freeze Candy Company. Matt, let's give it a whirl.
Here we go. Brandon Terrio, will he get a first-time win? First week win.
Where's Schollard? Well, let's get him a win. What do we got?
Oh, it's right on the line again, and Gareth Schollard picks up the win.
I was just thinking about, like, Schollard was he's one of the original 6, right? And then he'd kind of been on the schneid lately, so congratulations, Dara Schollard. I'm glad we got you one there.
And another week where, like, it was a photo finish. We've had a few of those now.
Patreon.com/capital PTBO. If you want to join the fun, have your name on the wheel of Win Nothing in partnership with Flash Freeze Candy Company. Mark, what can you tell us about Flash Freeze Candy Company?
It's delicious. It's not really nutritious, and it's available here in the downtown core. So if you go to Couture Candy, it is available exclusively there in the downtown and in the mall.
Nice. And I got to tell you, I tried it for the first time a couple of weeks ago. Just blew me away.
Beautiful. It's flavor country. Remember we explained it so eloquently last week?
Yeah.
We'll pass on that this week. Just understand it's good. It's delicious.
So the Peterborough Petes, they have moved on to the Eastern Conference Final for the first time since 2017. Game 1 going to go on Friday night. We are recording this on Wednesday, just for a little bit of, because sometimes it reruns on the weekend, and no, we are not crazy. We are aware of when the games actually go on. But
yeah,
I believe if we rolled back the tape, I definitely had the Petes in 6.
No.
I totally did.
Did
I not?
You said if I was betting money, Ottawa in 6.
Yeah.
And then you said, but for the show, Peterborough in 6. We both had Peterborough in 6 before you said that.
Oh, hold on a minute.
I'll pull the tape.
There was a Peterborough in 5 somewhere in here, I think. I feel like Mark was that.
I don't think so.
Incorrect.
I don't think so. We both had Pete's in 5 in the first round.
Yeah.
And
Scott Arnold also.
How did that work out for you?
Yeah, anyways.
What was that?
Arnold, yeah, really. Like as if we lost $1,000 on it.
So ridiculous.
Friend of the show, Scott Arnold, also had Pete's in 6.
He definitely did.
Shout out.
That's right. Well, I got to tell you, I was just thoroughly impressed, not only how they played in the series, but also the unbelievable drama that encapsulated games 5 and 6. You're talking about letting a 4-1 lead slip away on the road and losing in regulation in game number 5.
Yeah.
And then it was, let's find out how mentally tough this team is, because that was really the first sort of speed bump where it was, okay, this could go off the rails with the wrong group of kids.
Yeah.
Come back, play an amazing, 45 minutes?
Yep.
An amazing 50 minutes. And then you see that Ottawa, which for the most part was fairly well contained in the series, but there were those lapses where you saw, okay, this team can definitely take it up a notch. And you get that with junior hockey too, Mark. And I mean, it happened in the NHL with the Leafs game too, where I remember a time in hockey where you had a 2-goal lead in the third period. I mean, particularly on home ice, I mean, it was over. Like, you might as well not even watch. We watch Ottawa make a 5-1 game, a 5-4 game, and then even get some chances near the end. Peterborough holds on. And then you flip channels about a half an hour later, and you watch Toronto come back against Tampa Bay and win in overtime. We'll get to that in a second. But it was just this crazy emotional swing that felt like it was some sort of hockey drama movie that you were watching where it was like, oh, my God.
I think if you had a younger group, I could see how that, and I could see how that's a tough bus ride home. I mean, it's a tough bus ride home when you've got a bunch of 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. But it would have been easy. It would have been easy for the Petes to be deflated, coming back home, knowing that, you know, they had their chance of the series. They can't quite get past that. Instead, it's guns blazing. It's 5-1. Yeah, they hang on. It happens, where Ottawa's desperate at that point.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they know, like, we're not playing tomorrow if we don't win tonight. So, it was entertaining. It was maddening to watch for Game 5. Like, I mean, admittedly, not good. But then Connor Lockhart, what a beauty.
Yes.
3 goals. Obviously, he has, tragic circumstances with his grandmother that morning. And terrific. Again, another chapter in the story that generally these chapters are what's getting written for, special clubs. And I think the Petes are in there.
Pretty cool stuff. Another great atmosphere at the PMC, which we're expecting to continue into the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah.
Matt, what was your takeaway of the series?
I think I turned it around going to Game 2 in Ottawa. I was
that's true.
Maybe the mitigating factor, you dropped Game 1 in Ottawa.
That was commitment.
Yeah.
All in all, I mean, the Petes, Game 5 was what it was, and they just kind of looked right past it and kept going, which, like you mentioned, a younger team might not do that. When it turned 5-4 in Game 6, I was terrified because you don't want to go back to Ottawa against a 50-win team in Game 7 when they're storming back. So I'm happy they finished it in 6 games. I look at this team, 8 straight sellouts now, and I'm assuming Games 3 and 4 are going to be sold out.
For sure.
Last time they made the East Final was 2017.
Yes.
Was like the atmosphere around the city as everyone's talking about the Pete's now. I wasn't here in 2017. Was it like that then too?
I don't think it was quite the same, if memory serves me correctly.
I would
I'm
agree.
not sure.
I would agree. It's definitely not been the same.
Yeah, like
For sure.
And I can't pinpoint my finger on why that was, because that was a number 1 seeded team.
Correct.
And they swept the first 2 rounds. You think it would be fever pitch, but then they got swept.
Right.
So it dissipated really quickly.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot made of the quality of players that have been brought into the deadline. There's been this buzz, this anticipation. We've been waiting for this sort of, tide to come, because the end of the regular season was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough getting the boys going.
There's also a bit of a factor when you knock off the number 1 team too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
That does something for the believability in the fan base. There's no doubt about it.
For sure.
I just look at it, and like we talked about this with the Lakers last year. Like they're literally the talk of the town.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like everywhere you go, someone's asking about the Pete's, or when's the next Pete's game. And even my parents are asking me about that, and they're from Oshawa.
Driving around businesses, seeing Go Pete's Go, it's different when it's on the buses, but when you see businesses that have taken their signs, Go Pete's Go, it reminds me of from when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific.
Tuesday night when they won Game 6, I just happened to be downtown, and I could hear honking all over the place. Like people were happy. Not the usual downtown honking, mind you. It sounded like a happy honking.
You have to beat the teams that are in front of you, so there's no sense dwelling on it. I have to say I was kind of hoping that Barrie would be able to close out North Bay. They were up 1-0 in the third period of game number 7, unable to hold on. North Bay found that extra gear. And the one thing that I think, not that Peterborough can't handle, but you're getting a different physical type team. You're getting a bigger team.
You are getting a bigger team. This team's averaging 13 penalty minutes a night in the postseason. North Bay, going back, like, I didn't watch the entire game because I'm not a Barrie or North Bay honk, but I mean, 2 back-to-back power plays. North Bay scores on the power play to make it 1-1. Barrie gets a penalty, scores again to make it 2-1 and an empty netter. Like, get out of here. Okay, anyways. This is a different test. There's a lot of high octane on the North Bay side, certainly on the offensive side. The Pete's lost all 4 games in the regular season to this group, mind you, 3 of them before the Christmas break, and this team was much different.
Yes.
Much different outlook after that. There's a couple of things, though, I think in the Pete's favor. Pete's penalty killing is, we're at 88.5%. Because you're going to need it. North Bay, 28% clip in the power play in the postseason. Where I do think that the Pete's can really improve, or a key to the series for me, power play has been grim. Like you're 5 of 44 in the postseason on the power play against a team that this is the most penalized team in the postseason, or at least on this side that we're going to see now. So there's a big time opportunity where special teams can. You're going to get your opportunities if, the averages hold true in the next round, and that'll be a big cog for this Pete's club.
I'm just excited that it's, I think, the second and third oldest barns in the Eastern Conference. Like, I don't know.
Sure.
For me, like that, like when I think of the OHL, I don't think of places like the Budweiser Gardens where London plays.
I was sitting on a conference call a little bit earlier, too, and they referenced the fact that these are the 2 smallest markets, too, which I had to kind of rack my brain, and then I thought, I guess so.
In the OHL or just in the
In the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Which, again, is kind of intriguing, and, very traditional matchup, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So game 1 goes Friday night. Game 2 goes Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Then the series shifts back here on Tuesday and Wednesday.
A back-to-back in the playoffs, too. That's weird.
Yeah.
That is very, and they have, I think the Western Conference Finals, every game is on the same day as in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they didn't stagger them, and that's caught a lot of people, I don't know, angry is the right word, we're raising eyebrows. And the one thing that I would say is you're so unaware of what the facilities have booked.
Yeah.
Even in Peterborough, the Circus, I think, is in town this weekend, and that's just the way, unfortunately, that's the way that it happens. Yeah. Ottawa in the first round of the playoffs didn't even have access to their home building for a couple of games.
And it's regional broadcast, right? It's the power of regional broadcast in the OHL. I realize you can get it as part of your...
Are any of them being picked up by TSN? Do we know? Because I know they were doing games throughout the season.
I don't know.
Think so.
We've got a good friend of the store that's a TSN guy, and I haven't seen him mention it.
I guess...
And he's usually way out in front of it.
When you get arenas...
Gino Retta, yes, correct.
It's a little tougher, I guess, when the arenas are built in the 50s, too, right? Like, I'm sure TSN doesn't like setting up in those kinds of arenas.
That's true.
The old square
You have
corners.
to run cables a long way.
The worst.
They call it a home run if they have to run it all the way around the stadium. A little inside baseball there.
Thank you,
buddy.
I like
who do you think is coming out of the West?
Well, this is it. So it's hard for me to bet against the London Knights.
It's the London Knights.
It's the
right?
London Knights for sure. Kind of like to see Sarnia. It would be fun. So if Peterborough wins and Sarnia wins, and I know Nolan Burke's having a great year with Sarnia, our man Tim Burke, he'd be like
heck of a story.
trying to figure out what to do. And there's a lot of great storylines in that one. But I mean, London's the Yankees, and they've played extremely well in the playoffs.
Yep.
But Sarnia's played extremely well. Like not a lot of losses between the two of them, right?
Yeah.
Sarnia's 8-2. London's 8-1.
Yeah.
And Sarnia, like this is their coming out, right? Like this is it. This is the first conference final for them.
Yep.
Nolan,
you want to talk about? I mean, how big is Sarnia? Like that's not a very big market either. I don't think.
Probably not.
I've never been to
When you
Sarnia.
talk about first conference final, I mean
71,000 people, less than Peterborough.
okay. Yeah. Sarnia. I mean, they've had players, Stamkos, over the years.
Yes.
And
No Yakupov.
the fact that they haven't been able to make it this far again tells you pretty good stuff. So we're just super excited. It's going to be junior hockey all week long. That's all anyone's going to be talking about.
It's good.
I did want to get this because the OHL priority selection took place last weekend. 13 minor Petes from the U16 team ended up getting drafted, including Will. Oh, man. McFadden.
No.
Will McFadden. Take it easy. Will McFadden, who is the team's leading scorer, he ended up going 31st overall, which is great to Guelph. So he was the first one off the board, and then there were a couple more in the first 3 rounds. But just goes to show you, it was an amazing year for that particular team. They had the Red Caps, the OMHAs, OHL Cup, played extremely well.
Yeah.
And it's just good to see that, again, there's always the tendency to believe that all the marquee players are going to flock to the bigger centers.
Yeah.
But this year, that team was really, really good.
And there's a steady diet of teams behind them coming forward, too. So talk about, like, the way it used to be in the good old days. Like, that was when you knew, Peterborough in terms of that hotbed. Like, when I was a kid, it was Canada's junior hockey factory. That's what we called it here in Peterborough. Then there was so many minor hockey grads that you were producing. They were playing OHL markets, NHL markets. It was just like the old days. It was beautiful.
Well, and we talked about this U16 team a few weeks ago with their crazy overtime wins in the playoffs. And Mason Johnston, the goaltender, ended up getting drafted by the Petes.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
did.
Always love to see some local content, and even their first-round pick, 13th overall from Bob Cajun.
Bob Cajun.
Yep.
Carson, don't call me Candace Cameron.
That's right.
And he's a big guy, and
I
he
think
was
Kirk Cameron would have been a more
Kirk Cameron.
apropos.
I was trying to remember the brother's name, and I forgot.
Who doesn't
Bure.
love Candace Cameron, though, real quick?
Candace Cameron Bure now. She's married Valerie Bure.
You can leave the beret part out.
Yeah, great stuff there. Let's transition to the National Hockey League. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, we're recording on a Wednesday, so they have yet to play game number 5. We referenced it a little bit earlier, the fact that they were able to rally out of a 3-goal hole. The reason why I believe that this team is a little bit different, because there's still the naysayers who say, well, they're up 3-1 on Montreal, and we've seen this movie before, and until they actually win, we're not going to believe it. I do believe it because, any time over the last 20 years, they don't win either of those games.
Correct.
They were outplayed and not as sharp as they needed to be in game number 3.
Right.
And they're able to pull that one out. And then game 4, I mean, it's not even like you're down 4-1 and you score 30 seconds into the third, and then it's a whole different thing. I mean, there's only 10 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you're against a team that's the 3-time defending Eastern Conference champions. They win that game all the
kidding.
time.
They should be closing that door slammed shut. On our Twitter, at the Capital PTBO, on Instagram, sorry, not on Twitter, on Instagram, I put it out there on purpose. So I give all 4 of the results. Which one was the most surprising? After the Oilers had come back from 3 goals down, I watched the Oilers-Kings game afterwards. The Oilers didn't deserve to win either, but because nobody watches, it's just automatic de facto, oh, well, the Leafs didn't deserve to win. The Leafs played 6 minutes of hockey and they won the ball game. Listen, this is Tampa Bay. Maybe you don't care. Maybe the Oilers score 3 straight and they overcome that. The disappointment in Edmonton is just as thick as Toronto. They lose game 1 in overtime. Guys are firing beers on the ice. They've had enough too. So the Oilers are, they've got their backs against the wall against a team in LA that everybody thinks they should just mop the floor with. That's the inverse here. Nobody's going to mop Tampa anything. So whether you think they deserve to win or not is really neither here nor there. There's never been a Stanley Cup champion that's gone 16-0, and there's never been one that's won 16 ball games where they haven't had one comeback.
Yeah.
Where they haven't had one game that they probably didn't deserve to win. You want to trigger people? How about this? Every year was Vasilevsky after a loss is 10,000 0-1. How about this? After a win, Vasilevsky's let in 16 goals, and his save percentage is that of Lakefield Chiefs backup goaltender. So how about that?
Feel bad for whoever that kid is.
Oh, don't worry. That kid's got a promising future. This is a grown man.
Getting buried.
No, he's not. I didn't even name the kid.
Oh, I'm looking him up.
Don't name drop that kid. Now I'm going to look like an idiot. Vasilevsky's got an .856 save percentage and has let in 19 goals. And you tell me there's not one Tampa Bay Lightning in that room thinking, holy smokes. Like, hey, Vasi, you may want to stop a couple. We can't win too many ball games when we have to score 5.
Contrary to John Cooper's assessment of the goaltending, saying, look, we need to play better in front of him, and that a lot of these shots from the points have been deflected. I'm going to surmise that some of them haven't. And he's just getting beat on
Morgan
screens.
Riley's game 3 was untouched.
But yeah, there's been some nice tips. Austin Matthews, and of course the Kerfoot one. Those ones are going to be difficult.
Sure.
But Cooper comes out and says, anyone criticizing, no goalie ever would have saved those and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I don't want to hear, because I work in an office where somebody said that Vasilevsky is approaching Hasek territory.
Get out.
Point me to the game where Hasek's up 4-1 with 10 minutes to go and loses at home.
Right.
I don't think you can find that game. It probably doesn't exist.
Point to the back-to-back years where Hasek lets in a touchdown. If Hasek lets in 3, he snaps the stick over the crossbar and probably snaps a guy's neck in the dressing
Fights
room.
The media and
Guaranteed.
So, for me, and I think the Leafs are still going to win the series. I've changed my opinion on that because I had Tampa in 6 originally.
We remember.
Can't be right about everything.
How's that working for you?
Oh, here we go again. Don't look at me when I'm talking. I think Toronto's going to win the series, but I mean, like, back-to-back overtime wins. Like, we've seen so many overtime goals in the playoffs that are just wrist shots from the blue line. Morgan Riley's was one of them.
Yep.
That could go either way. So, like, I think this series very easily could also be 3-1 Tampa. And for that reason, I think we might still see 6 or 7 games.
I just think it seemed like that. I know there's experience and stuff, but after a while, isn't it just, you know what? Like, we've been to 3 straight cup finals. We're just not getting up for this one. And that's how I see game number 5. Like, I see it like 4-0 Toronto or something. I'm sorry, I do.
My only feeling, my prevailing thought here is I remember having that exact same thought going into game 6 last year. I'm like, I could see how guys around the room, like, maybe
nothing
not
left to prove.
They've got nothing left to prove.
Yeah.
It's over. The run's over. And then they go on a run and win 6 and 7. So Leafs Nation psyche is super fragile still, right? Like, we've all got our chests out, but we're going to be clutching the rosary come Thursday night.
Before we move on, I just want to give kudos to Kyle Dubas, like just giving it to fans in Tampa.
I'm glad you said that. I love that.
Yeah.
To me, I love that people are like, it's not classy and blah, blah.
People are getting angry at it.
It's amazing.
First off, I'm sure the fans are completely innocent.
Yeah.
Because like Kyle Dubas is usually pretty calm, cool, and collected.
I love that fire, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah. Like him chirping back is amazing as a neutral fan. Like it's, I don't know. I like that. That's playoff hockey.
The last time the Toronto Maple Leafs made the second round of the playoffs, 2004.
Oh boy.
Sidebar story, when they beat Ottawa in Game 7 in the first round, that's the famous Patrick Lalime game where he was terrible.
Absolutely. Yep. I remember it.
I was actually at the Blue Jays-Red Sox game that very night, and most of the crowd was going up to the concourse, and they were announcing the goals on the jumbo screen and all this stuff. And I just remember afterwards being out there and being like, man, people are jacked. It's like almost a parade and honking and flags and everything. And I thought, man, for a first round, this is crazy. Little did we know that was the last time that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But are you aware that the last time the Maple Leafs made to the second round of the playoffs, Google was introducing Gmail?
Wow.
The San Diego Chargers drafted Eli Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Mean Girls got released in theaters. And Matt Latour was 8 years old.
Yeah.
You were 8.
That was the year I started watching WWE.
Nice.
You were 8, and I was 100% buckled at Champs watching that series in its
I was
entirety.
when they won. I would have been 7 because my birthday's not till September.
Since we were talking about the Vasilevsky stuff, much has been made of Derek Lalonde, who's been sort of a guest contributor to the panel, and I think he's not like super exciting, super charismatic, but I think some of his analysis has actually made the intermissions worth watching for the first time in a long time. Red Wing fan, but I'm not he's just what he said. And one of the comments that he made was talking about these shots from the point that are beating Andrei Vasilevsky. And he made a comment, and I don't know if you have the exact quote there, Matt, but the comment was, yeah, we did a survey and we found that he was actually in the lower half of the league for tracking pucks from the blue line. So as a team in Tampa Bay, so Lalonde coaches the Red Wings now. He was the assistant coach with Tampa Bay. He said that they had to change their entire D structure because of it.
Right.
John Cooper comes out and says, basically calls foul, says that's totally incorrect. It's not accurate, blah, blah, blah. I think he's just covering it up because there's no way Derek Lalonde's sitting there thinking of that in his mind.
Yeah.
And Cooper said, well, they have him on TV, so he's got to say something, and it's not factual. And I'm like, I think that it is. And we've seen it play out in this series.
I can't find the exact quote, but I know what you're referring to.
It's very much what you just said. Cooper's a lawyer, right? Like, that's his trade. So before he was a hockey coach, he was a lawyer. This is also a guy that came out in front of game one. We're super underdogs. We're massive underdogs in this series. He's just trying to keep it away from the player, right? He doesn't want Toronto media. Tampa flies in for game 5. Toronto media is all over Vasilevsky about, did you hear what Derek said? Did you hear what Derek said? Right? So Coop just leaves it as, listen, we're going to put it out into the ether. They won't talk about it, I'm sure, on CBC. I'm sure it's a non-story. Ron's not going to turn to Derek and say, do you want to corroborate the lie or truth that you told? They'll just move on from it.
Who do you think's been the best team so far in the playoffs? If we were having this conversation last week, I'd say the New York Rangers, and then that series flipped switch, home team being perfect so far.
Boston?
Road team. I think it's a lame answer, but it is Boston.
There's holes in their flower pot there. I
think they've been better than Vegas. Like the two teams that are currently up 3-1.
See, Vegas is probably closer. I'm really surprised Brissois got the start, to be honest. Another team that had an epic collapse and a loss, but they actually turned it around and won the ball game. But
Carolina couldn't close.
No, Carolina is one, I think, there too. The Islanders, I mean, there's still lots in the tank there with the Islanders. I don't like it. I think for Seattle to still be hanging in with Colorado, and Colorado's got all the guns minus, what's his name, Landeskog. Landeskog's not there. The goaltending hasn't been there, but Seattle's been tough. They're still hanging in with Colorado. It's not flashy. They're all kids, except for Grubauer in goal.
I think Boston had a couple of pretty convincing wins in Florida without Bergeron and without Krejci.
That's true, actually. I never took that, yeah.
We're expecting them to win every game 8-2, but, sometimes it's 6-2, and they look pretty good.
That's true. I'll stick with Seattle.
Let's move over to the NBA really, really quick here. A couple of things. Where now for the Clippers? They're out in 5 games.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard, I think torn meniscus.
Yeah.
On
the same knee.
A lot of whispers.
Is he just done?
There's Stephen A. Smith saying that he should get pushed into retirement. I think that was before the news of the actual injury came out. Because there was sort of a, hey, is this guy doing his thing where he's just not playing?
Yeah.
Tough to play with a torn meniscus. Paul George didn't play in the series.
Yeah.
They were strapping the rocket to Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell. Wasn't going to happen against a team like Phoenix.
Norm had some big games, though.
He did.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to score the points.
Sure.
Kawhi, we talk a lot about John Tavares being an old, early 30s. Kawhi Leonard at 31 is he looks shockingly old sometimes.
And yet other games, he's the best player on the floor once again. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens there. But that experiment hasn't worked out for the Clippers. Mm-hmm. I like this one just from a television viewing standpoint. On Wednesday, ESPN announced a welcome change to the NBA Finals on ABC this June. Per a release from the company, weeknight NBA Finals games will now start at 8:30 as opposed to 9 p.m. I hated the 9 p.m. start.
No kidding.
And yes, I'm a spoiled East Coast time zone guy, but that made it really, really difficult.
Yeah, it did make it really difficult. I can appreciate why they don't want to continue to move it closer. But, from the young man standpoint, from the young kids, the young, working professionals, men and women that have to get up and work in the morning or have young kids and they want to watch their favorite superstar in prime time, you can't. 8:30, you got young kids, right in the sack.
Yep.
It's over. So 8:30 is, I mean, it's better than 9 o'clock.
Let's move to our ever-popular miscellaneous section. Aaron Rodgers said Wednesday during his introductory press conference with the New York Jets that he's well aware of the team's lack of success in recent years, but added that he's ready to put the franchise back where it belongs.
Had some pretty meaty quotes here, like Super Bowl III trophy looks a little lonely. Like, man, you haven't played for that organization hasn't played for a Super Bowl since '69.
Yeah.
It's the only time they've ever played there.
Yep. A crazy stat that got pointed out on Around the Horn, and I think it was Tim Kalishaw who brought it up, that said, or Frank Iasola, he said, they've actually only had 2 home playoff games since 1986.
Right.
Which is crazy. There's been a lot of mediocrity at quarterback. Like quarterbacks that have had little tiny spurts of success.
Yeah.
Pennington and Testaverde and
Sanchez.
But this is the first time that they've really had the marquee quarterback since probably Joe Namath.
So there's a couple of things here. If you look at it in the big picture, Rodgers reunites with Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator. The 2 years that they were OC and QB, he won the MVP in 20 and 21. It's a big step. Garrett Wilson, obviously a very nice young piece. They've gone ahead and they got Alan Lazard and who's the other guy? Helcom. Guys that played for the Packers. Sauce Gardner as a corner, I don't really believe is a position that can really be a game changer, but a nice young nucleus with an aging quarterback you paid a lot of money and you paid a lot of draft capital. He plays 65% of the snaps. Your 2024 second goes to a first. You swapped first this year, which isn't a big deal. It was only two positions. But guys are talking like the Jets are in the picture of the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a break. Defense top 5 last year. You gotta win more than 7 ball games. Like the Jets can't win 10. They cannot win 10. 10, you got to play 8 in the division. You got to play Buffalo twice. You got to play New England twice. You're not going to beat my Bills twice.
The template here is what some in the mainstream are calling a mercenary Super Bowl, which is what Tampa Bay did with Tom Brady. Comes in, wins the bowl, sort of surrounds himself. The Rams did it with Stafford, bringing the new guy, wins the Super Bowl. And now you're saying, okay, I've got a top 5 defense. If I have a quarterback who can even play at 80% what Aaron Rodgers is capable of, maybe we'll have a puncher's chance to kind of get into the dance and do it. Does this vault them ahead of Kansas City? No. Does it vault them ahead of Buffalo? I don't think so.
No.
Does it vault them sort of on the same level with the Chargers? I mean, maybe that would be comparable, but
Herbert has to show something.
it's going to be a lot of fun.
And he won't wear 12.
No. So
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath offered up number 12.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers said no, and I think he's going to wear number 8.
Yeah, that's what he wore in college.
It's going to be so weird seeing him not in a Packers jersey.
Speaking of Joe Namath, this one's for you, Matt. Ric Flair was on the Joe Rogan Experience this week. Nice 3-hour sit-down interview. He said his style for the Nature Boy character in wrestling came from Joe Namath after seeing him in a fur coat on the sidelines of a Miami Dolphins football game.
I like it. There's a little Ric Flair right up there.
There is a little.
Yeah, there is Nature Boy.
Big gold, yeah.
It's a Nature Boy. Good interview if you want to go and check it out on Joe Rogan. The amount of behind-the-scenes series on sports continues to grow, with recent ones including Formula One, 100-foot wave, Breakpoint, Full Swing, Welcome to Wrexham, and Chasing History. You can now add the Big 3 3-on-3 basketball league, and its co-founder Ice Cube and his Cube Vision brand is teaming with Jesse Collins Entertainment for a little behind-the-scenes action. Mark, I know you're all in on this.
I like Ice Cube. Like, he is terrific, right? It made me sound like, I like Ice Cube. Like, no.
Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood, for sure. NWA, like, I like that. He's given this league kind of like a branding in the way that only Cube can deliver. We've gone down the list of the rosters like we were doing in the shoot around here before we went live. They've had some marquee guys, but the quality of basketball is actually pretty good. It's not end to end like you would expect, but basketball is one of those games that I think that once you retire, can still be interesting. Guys can still hit the three. Guys can still jump and dunk. Like it's been good. I enjoy it.
Last but not least here, if Little League parents in Deptford Township, New Jersey have issues with the umpires, they will now have to step on the diamond and make the calls themselves. Get a load of this. The Little League Association there has implemented a new policy that any spectator who argues with an umpire must serve as a volunteer ump for 3 games until they want to actually get back in and be a spectator. So you can't say no, because the moment you say no, they say, okay, you can say no, but you have to watch from the parking lot.
Really?
I think this is fabulous. We're talking about deteriorating numbers of people that actually want to be officials. You read stories all the time about people berating referees and umpires and all this stuff, which is just so ridiculous and sickening. I like this. Put your money where your mouth is.
Hop in behind second base, yeah.
You think it's easy? Okay, get out there and do it and show me what you got.
Wow.
I love that, and I'm interested to see if that sort of deters the behavior. Of course, enforcement's going to be the thing.
Yeah.
But you would have to get all the coaches. The coaches have to be held accountable. And that was the best. I played for some coaches that was one of the number one rules that got brought up at the very beginning of the season is there will be no arguing from the parents to the umpires. The coaches will take care of it. So if parents started doing that, the kid was punished. It was, okay, we're pulling little Johnny out of the game.
Oh, wow.
So there was stakes. There was stakes in the game. And that was a very well-behaved team that didn't necessarily succeed. But that being said, yeah, definitely something to look at, and I think kind of interesting. Thinking outside the box there, Marky.
I really like that idea. But again, how are you going to enforce it? But there does need to be something done. I mean, the parents, every kid's going to the show. Every kid's not getting enough ice time, not getting enough innings. Just a slow burn. Easy.
Deptford, little town, I'm looking it up now, 30,000 people, including Sean T., the guy that created Insanity Fitness.
Wow.
You know those like old infomercials?
Yeah.
He's from there.
It's iconic.
Okay.
Do you guys want to do a segment of Record Machine? Rev me up there, Matty.
Yeah, let's hear it.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Record Machine.
Record Machine.
Worst sound effect in all of television.
And all of community
podcasting.
TV. You're welcome.
NHL playoffs, not surprising, as a category here. Here are your 3 records. Record Machine, I give 3 records. We decide which is most likely to be broken, and we sort of rank them in order. Most shorthanded goals in the history of the playoffs, Mark Mercier, 14. Put that in perspective, the active leader is Jonathan Toews with 3. So
wow.
There's quite the distance. Most overtime points, Joe Sakic, 14. Put that in perspective, nobody else in history has ever even gotten 10. And most career playoff wins as a goalie, Patrick Waugh, 151. Martin Brodeur is the only other goalie ever to reach the 100 mark at 113. Vasilevsky is in the 60s. It's a lot of wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. NHL shorts, I guess maybe if there's a caveat or a condition here, would Mercier early on, I'm not sure if we can find it on the Magic Box or not, they might have made a change to penalties where you had to be in for the whole 2 minutes.
That, I believe, happened a little further back.
Before the Oilers? Because
my guess.
I had a feeling that
I'm looking it up.
I thought it happened in the 50s.
See, I thought that they changed rules for power plays based on the Edmonton Oilers because they would score, like you had to be in there for the whole 2 minutes. Like Gretz would score 3 times in a 2-minute segment. Maybe not.
I think the same rationale, but I thought it was the 50s Canadians.
The NHL changed the rule following the 55-56 season. Where
Okay.
the Habs would score multiple goals on a power play. Most famous was November 5th. Jean Beliveau scored 3 goals in 44 seconds.
Nice.
Wow.
Le Gros Bill.
Same
idea, though, just a few years before.
Yeah. 14 shorties is that's something. And something for a guy like the Moose who's not exactly fleet of foot or, has a rocket. The overtime points at 14. I mean, you've got to have a pretty long carved out NHL playoff resume in order to get to 14 overtimes, let alone score in them or, register a point.
Some recent Stanley Cup champions have only had like 1 overtime win en route to the Cup.
Yeah.
So you're not guaranteed it.
Was 151 to me stands out as being the most difficult, though Messier's is like, the 7 no-hitters type thing. Like,
I'm going Waugh at 1, most unbreakable.
Like 151 wins.
Like, we look at Vasilevsky's been to 3 straight finals, and he's in the 60s.
Yeah.
And they went second and third round a few times before.
I'm gonna go sneaky the Joe Sakic overtime points just because no other player has even reached double digits. So when you're at 14, there's a lot of distance between 14 and 9. And active players, there wasn't any that jumped on the list that were anywhere close.
Like for Waugh, though, at 151, you've got to play 15 years, have 15 postseasons, and get eliminated in the conference final.
That's true.
That's
you'd have to win 2 games in the conference final, 4 in the opener, 4 in the second, 2 in the conference final, 15 straight years, and you still would be behind them.
Brodeur won 3 cups and made it to 5 finals, and he's still about 40 wins away. Marc-Andre Fleury hasn't even reached 100 wins yet, and he's been around forever.
Right.
So, yeah, that's extremely difficult.
I'm going Waugh 1, Sakic 2, Mercier 3.
Yeah, see, I think I like that too. I think I would go 1, 2, 3 like that.
That's how we do Record Machine here on the Capital PTBO Sports Show. Now, I think staying with the NHL playoffs, and Matt, you can set the scene for this one. I am jumping in the ring this week. I did not do well in the sports spelling bee. And I just felt like, okay, I got to get back in the ring here. I want to prove that I'm a little bit more substance than style. And so I have anointed Matt as the quiz master for today. So what category are we looking at?
Well, we need the sound effect first.
Yeah. The Greed, Chuck Woolery sound effect.
I changed the category 3 minutes ago. Because originally it was shorthanded guys with more than 10 shorthanded playoff goals.
I scooped you.
I got scooped.
There wasn't many of them, though.
No.
Oh.
It was going to be really tough, I told you.
If it's something worse than that, like that was
So
debatable
now-
as you being still in the penalty box.
Now,
Like it's going to be like the
You want mainstream.
NHL players with more than 30 shorthanded career goals.
Wow.
There's 21 of them.
You mean that like guys with more than plus 40 and like the Budweiser plus minus
Listen,
award?
I gotta do baseball trivia every other week. Like I'm coming back with some vengeance.
But we
here.
don't ask you like top 50 on base percentage plus sluggings.
I know 4 baseball players.
Shorthanded
okay.
goals, Mark. How well do you know it?
30 plus shorts in a career. Oh my
This
god.
is so much fun.
It is fun sitting on that side.
All right.
All right, you want to go first?
Oh, jeepers. 30 shorts in a career. This is going to get a buzzer so
What's
quick.
21 people.
What's funny is, some of the more prolific goal scorers of all time just don't kill penalties.
They don't kill
Again,
penalties.
Ovechkin,
There are some names out here I have never heard of.
okay,
Okay.
that's great.
That's a really good start. Excellent.
It's my revenge game.
Yes.
Okay. In a sneaky way, I'm going to, oh my God, I can't. Dave Reed. Yeah. Give me a break.
Why wouldn't you go for an obvious one off the top?
Dave Reed had 8 shorties in 1 year, and I'm thinking, holy smokes, the
I
guy
see
played.
him down at Bowers Park. Dave Reed.
He could still probably sneak a couple shorties in.
Dave
Matt,
Reed did not crack the first page.
I'm going to go with Wayne Gretzky.
Yes, he had 73. Leads the NHL.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I should have went with Gratz. Okay.
How much time do we have?
Shorthand, not enough
About 8
or too
minutes.
much. Okay. Shorthanded. Marcel Dion. No, you're right. The guy only scored 717 career goals. I can see how he's not on the list. This is a good category. This is good TV.
Matt. Can you give me Mark Messier?
That's number 2, 63.
Okay, that's annoying. So now I'm gonna watch here, team. Watch this. I'm gonna go with the next most prolific Oilers scorer of the 80s, and it's gonna be and the game's over. Yari Curry.
39.
Oh,
Yes.
cheapers.
See, you can do this.
Get out
You
of
just need
here.
a comeback now.
Steve Yzerman.
That's number 3, 50. Look at the smug grin he's got on his face.
it's-
He's trying to hide,
Stevie.
he's trying to
Because
hide it behind the
Stevie's gonna be on
microphone.
It's because he gave him the category.
He didn't know. I wouldn't tell him.
I know everything Yzerman.
Fair.
Pat Verbeek.
Jordan, you want to close it out?
I think I'll close it out. I think Mario Lemieux.
Mario Lemieux's number 4. You want number 5? I don't think you'll guess it. You get the...
No, but I think I got a few more. Sergei Fedorov.
Yep.
Bergeron?
No, only one active player.
Oh.
One active. Sid Crosby?
Nope.
Taves.
Nope. Brad Marchand.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
33. You had the right
Jeez.
idea with Bergeron.
Yeah.
Number 5, Butch Goring.
Okay.
Oh,
Islanders.
yeah.
Yep. Sergei Fedorov, Dick Graham, Theo Fleury, Derek Sanderson, Pavel Bure, Marian Hossa, Brian Rolston, Dave Keon, Bobby Clark, Peter Bondra, Joe Sakic, Bill Barber, Matt Sundin, and Bob Pulford.
I would have come around to Sakic. I'm not sure. I would have been pretty flush after the 4 that I named.
Next week is going to be like on base percentage just as a punishment.
Yeah. Face
Who's
off.
Ted Williams?
Face off wins.
Okay. So that is the Mono y Mono challenge. Now, I'm super excited. I don't even know. So, Matt, let's do this in real time here.
Yes.
We still have
5 minutes.
Okay. Which is perfect.
Okay.
So, one of the stories that I wanted to go back to was we discussed this last week a little bit, that Rogers was making some shakeup. Rogers Television. Tim McAuliffe has now settled into his role on Sportsnet Central. He was on Tim and Friends. He was Tim and Sid. He was one of the most marketable personalities that they had. Mm-hmm. Now he's doing a 30-minute highlight show, similar to what he would have done on The Score, and it's sort of airing in the middle of the night as sort of a counter to Jay Onrait, although a totally different kind of show.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, or is this just a total waste of a pretty marketable asset?
In my opinion, yeah. Absolutely. I don't understand. George Stroumboulopoulos told Tim and Sid years ago on their podcast, I don't understand. This is before Strombo played CBC. CBC Hockey Night in Canada. I don't understand why you guys aren't a late night talk show. They build it on Tim and Friends as being like, this is not part of the Canadian landscape.
They said it was like one of a kind.
One of a kind.
That's my problem with it.
One of a kind, except for TSN did it for 23 years. Like, it's one of a kind for Sportsnet.
And he's already done something similar.
Yeah.
Right. This is... If they had come out and said, and we had talked about this last week off the air, about like a live watch. This is what kids are into.
Steve Dangle's huge, yeah.
Right. Dangles gets 55, 6,000 people on his YouTube, and that's on YouTube.
Barstool, yeah, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Barstool. Why this wasn't a McAuliffe and Friends sort of flip on that live watch party? You could have had personalities. You can still have it on at night. You could have done just late games, whatever the case may be. But it would have been the perfect opportunity to roll it out during the postseason. We've got something brand new. Flip it. Make a big set. You can have guests sit in the chair type thing. McAuliffe can lob them some softballs while they're watching the gameplay. We're going to give you a highlight package. Didn't Dan O'Toole just tell us a couple months back when we had him on the TV, like, highlights are dead?
Yep.
Highlight shows are finished. Anderson in accounting comes up, puts his glasses up his nose, and says, hey, you know that McAuliffe fella you guys have been trotting out for 20 years? You know, the super talented guy? Let's give him a highlight show.
I just think it's such a regression when you have they had a 3-hour radio show that was massive, and then they have the television version, and then it's simulcast on both, and then it's just back with a highlight show. Like, I'm not sure what the end game is. Amazing article that was put out a little bit earlier today talking about how ESPN radio in the States is like hanging by a thread. And just the idea, I think podcasts, because of fine folks like us, have really taken a bite out of sports talk in general. Because now, remember back in the day, you'd be driving and you wouldn't be interested in all the topics, but it was the only thing you had to listen to. But now if you only want to hear the Leafs, there's talented people who are doing it. If you only want to hear NFL, there's talented people south of the border that you can, or whatever, And I think that's really kind of bitten off the idea of like the traditional sports talk radio.
I think that it's more now You can do reality based. I think like the phone in thing is way finished. You listen to the Fan 590 and Blair. Blair will come on with some wild take just to get you on the phone, right? Because he understands that if you can anger you into a phone call, then the producer's like, okay, we've got Billy on line 1, and he's a rocket. He's a live nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
And then Billy gets on there and delivers some hot take, and it sounds ridiculous. That's too bad for Tim. I'm sure he likes it, but it's too bad.
Yeah. He's still getting paid.
Oh, sure.
One other one that I wanted to get your opinion on, since we referenced Barstool, is Ryan Whitney has gone on quite the tear on social media talking about how it is no longer cool, or if it ever was, for adults to wear hockey sweaters and jerseys to games. Where do you fall on that?
Guys are wearing signed jerseys to games.
That's crazy in itself. I don't mind people wearing jerseys, but what's next? He's going to tell people not to drink like pink alcohol?
No, he's not going to say that ever. I don't know. I used to
Until he said it, I thought, no, that's ridiculous. People wear jerseys.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, if I was going, I would wear something kind of more comfortable and stylish. Because hockey sweaters, they've never been able to figure out how to make them kind of both.
No.
If you're going out after the game, whatever.
Right. They've
it's not
never been
great.
comfortable. They've always been bulky.
I don't mind it. Like, wear a jersey, don't wear a signed jersey.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Okay. Peterborough Table Hockey Association. Mark, can we set the scene for what we're about to watch?
Yeah. So we're going to watch the B final, game 1, Steve versus Heather. We're going to give you one of these games every single week. Enjoy it. We
Yeah.
think it's going to be its unique coverage for what you're about to see.
All right, let's check in on game number 1 between Steve and Heather of the B final of the Peterborough Table Hockey Association.
Goal. 449. Both ready. Freeze. Ready? Game on. Goal. 406. Tied at 1s. Ready?
I think our players were just on break there for a second.
Nope, not in. Oh, goal. 320. 2-1 Steve. Ready? Goal. 317. 3-1. Ready?
I think that's ice anyways.
Goal. 310. Ready? Goal. 234 tied at 3s. Ready? Goal. 230. 4-3. Ready?
Somebody find the right guy.
Somebody must want it. Two minutes left.
Oh, nice.
Got it. Playing. Goal 145.53. Ready? Oh, nice steal. Goal. Exactly 1 minute left. And it's 6-3 for him. 1 minute on the clock. Ready? Oh, tried the Michigan. 30 seconds left, 6-3. Goal, 17 seconds left, 7-3. Ready? Ten seconds. Game.
So that was in the books for game number 1, the Peterborough Table Hockey Association. Game number 2 next week. Heather and Steve.
I think you're going to find this content to be very exciting to watch every week, and we look forward to bringing you game 2.
You have been watching the Capital PTBO Sports Show, an MNC podcast production. For Mark Million and producer Matty, I'm Jordan Mercier, and we will talk again next week.